Well, good morning, Kelowna and Victoria and Penticton. It is a beautiful day in Kelowna here. I don't know, I haven't really checked and seen how it is in the other cities, but we can maybe get a report from you guys. Ken and I were kind of hung up talking about a plant that I brought in and just about didn't get on the microphone here. But we're here. We're with you.
A little busy there talking about cactus, as we often do.
Is it cactuses or cacti?
It's a cactipillar.
Hippopotami?
Yeah.
Clematis?
Cactipillar.
There's many clematis out there.
Cactopulus. Yes.
Tips and plants of the week. My tip of the week, join a garden club. Pretty much each city has at least one general garden club and usually several other targeted clubs such as orchid clubs, cactus clubs, succulent clubs, bonsai clubs, you name it. Anything to do with plants. Fern clubs and then... Gesneriid clubs, all these different clubs. Anyway, join a club. If you are interested at all in gardening, it'll take it to another level if you join a club. In particular, one of the clubs, the Kelowna Garden Club, is one of the best clubs, in my opinion, and we may be a little biased, but the Kelowna Garden Club is a very active, wonderful club. So, folks in Kelowna, if you want to join a club, and anybody in Penticton or Victoria, if you want to tell us about your clubs, give us a call. Ken and I love to hear from you. Mm-hmm. My plant of the week is the Euonymus alata. Very common plant, but boy, is it ever showing off this year.
Yeah, we're getting some good fall colors going on.
It's great. And it may, I tell you, Ken, it may lose its leaves right now over last night because we got our first decent frost of the year here. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. I also have a tip on a plant this week, and my tip of the week is that it's that time of year when you want to remove your hoses from your taps, your outdoor taps. These are called frost-free taps, and that just means that when you do, they're only frost-free once you remove your hose. If you leave your hose attached, often water actually gets trapped in them, and then that can freeze and really cause problems inside the wall of your house, which is not a good thing. So remove those hoses at that time of year and just leave them off. And one of Don's tips is to drain the hose so that if you do need it at any time during the winter, you're able to access that. All right, now my plant of the week this week is Cedrus atlantica. It's what they call the Atlantica cedar, and this is not actually a cedar. It looks more like a larch, and it's kind of interesting. They come from North Africa originally, from like Morocco area, and there's a bunch of different Cedrus plants. They look like a larch, but they're not deciduous. They don't lose their leaves. And Cedrus atlantica glauca is a botanical name meaning blue or gray color, and they're actually a blue cedar. They often call them Atlantic blue cedars, and they're not really cedar-like. They have needles like I say, like a larch. But anyway, just a cool tree, cool plant, and there's a couple of them here in the valley, not very many because they're not really 100% hardy for this climate, but they are sold and grown all throughout coastal regions around BC and into Washington State and down into Oregon. So it's a beautiful tree, something unique, something unusual, and some people think it's its own species, and they're trying to identify that as compared to the cedar of Lebanon. The Libani cedar is a different animal, but they say they're sort of related, but they don't know. They're going to figure this out. Anyway, that's my tips and plants for this week. I digress. Remember to check growercoach.com and Grower Coach on YouTube.
Boy, that was a couple of long tips and plants, Ken, but that's okay.
Something to talk about.
People are glued to their radios listening, of course.
Plants they don't know about. Ooh, like what is this guy? What's going on here?
So this little cactus I brought in today, Ken, was from Argentina. Yeah. And it's a tephro cactus. Folks, just, when we bring in plants, we talk about them, Bagila, like we did last week and whatnot. Look them up. Just get some information off the internet because it's amazing. I really lean on the internet. As a matter of fact, my library is kind of growing dust.
Yeah.
It's getting dusty. I love my books. I won't give them up. I just love my library of books. I've got plant books coming out. I've got that one Exotica book that's about 6 inches deep and it's a big, heavy book.
And you'll still find stuff in that book that you won't find on the internet.
I think so.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
It took them like 500 years to get the botanical books together. It'll take another 500 to get them on the internet.
Maybe.
So,
well, maybe 50 years.
Yeah, 50 years, whatever. 50. Speaking of 50 years, 58 years old, Tyson, Mike Tyson, iron. Well, I'm going to call him aluminum Mike Tyson.
Oh, yeah.
Because poor old Mike. I mean, I say poor old Mike. James, the opponent, young guy, 27 years old.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
He was in really good shape and everything. But, he lost, even though he won. Because the way I was listening to the commentators, if you beat a 58-year-old man, you're being cruel.
Mm-hmm.
And you didn't win anything because you beat a 58-year-old man.
Mm.
If you lose to a 58-year-old man, well, you lost to a 58-year-old man.
Yep.
So he didn't win the fight.
Yeah.
Tyson actually won. Tyson got in there and didn't get hurt.
Mm.
He got hit a few times, but didn't get hurt. Didn't go down. And anyway, that's boxing. This is a plant show. This is a garden show. We don't talk about boxing.
Yeah.
But I have been fascinated over the years, and I'm now that I'm getting older, Ken. I love. Well, elder abuse is prevalent right now in society. Elder abuse. So as you get older, you're going to get abused because these young people they kind of look. Oh, he's just an old guy.
Finally,
right?
I can.
He's
take
an old
him.
guy. But hey, I'm proud to be old. Hey, to get here and be here, I'm proud to be old and proud to be able to hand out, like Ken is doing as well, handing out great information on gardening, our experience, and the stuff that we've gone through all these years. Not that young people don't know anything, it's just that they haven't had the mileage, and you got to get the mileage to really understand what's going on in a deep
helps.
manner. Yeah,
That's for sure.
You bet. Well, give us a call if you have any gardening questions. We're here to help you because that's what we do every Saturday morning on the Garden Show. And we did experience a little bit of frost last night in the Okanagan. I'm sure you didn't at the coast, but it was getting down there. It's getting kind of chilly at night. It was interesting to see some frost on the pumpkins this morning. I mean, actually, a good solid. Yeah. Well, it wasn't. I say a good solid frost. There was still water sitting on my patio, my concrete patio.
Yeah. Because
that concrete, of course, holds heat.
Yeah.
And so it didn't freeze on that. So, I mean, it was a frost of maybe 1.5 maybe degrees.
But it wasn't, again, not how cold it gets, but how long it gets cold.
Well, that's right.
It stayed cold all through the night, which was one of the first times. That's why I developed frost, because I've had a couple of days where it's been down to -2 or -1, but only for like 20 minutes or 30 minutes. So not quite. Well, one morning I remember we did have a tiny bit of frost on the windshield. Very little. That was about 2 weeks ago or so. And today was a substantial amount of frost. Well,
I'm going to today, bring in my geraniums and my canna rhizomes and whatnot. They're outside. I've cut the canna's tops off, but we'll bring them in now. I like to get them just feeling like a little bit frosty, just to really put them to sleep.
Yeah, and I'm doing the same. I'm bringing my cannas in this weekend. I'm going to get them out, get them cleaned off, wash the roots a little bit. I often bring the whole planter and everything in, but not 100% sure I'm going to do that this year just because, I don't know. I'll probably do it on the 1 gallons. Like I grow some small ones that I grow on as sort of, I'm going to say propagules. So that means that I'm going to grow these 1 gallon ones specifically to overwinter for next year. And then next year, all I do is I overwinter them in a 1 gallon pot, and then I inside the house, and then I in the late spring or early spring I can get them up and get them growing indoors a bit and get them with that bit of an early start, so you can get the leaves above the soil surface, get them starting to grow. Typically in month of March, for us I think is good timing, and then it takes the whole month of March for them just to get activated, and then in April they start to shoot up, but it's still too cold to put them outside here in the valley. So then we keep them until it warms up in May, and then you can pot them in, use them in your planters, that sort of thing. So I really like that 1 gallon size for overwintering and whatnot. But I do have a beautiful Tropicana canna, which is one of my favorite. Yeah, Tropicana canna is one of my favorites, and that's sort of like a tricolor leaf. You know, it's got the yellows, the reds, the orange.
Seen those, yeah.
Yeah, really pretty plant, and not as tall. You know, they get about maybe 4 feet, 5 feet.
Well,
tall.
I figure if I bring this Tephra in for you, I can probably have that Tropicana canna.
Oh yeah, if you want one, I'll get you one. They're beautiful, and like I say, that particular plant I have in a very large pot, and so that's the one that's I'm pretty much gonna have to dig that one out, get it clean, get the roots washed, and I've been just postponing that because I've been too lazy to do it. Actually, I had other things on. Too
lazy? I've never heard of you being lazy.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well.
Too preoccupied or something, not lazy.
There you go.
I've never seen you lazy in all the time I've known you. Look, we got to take a short break here, but we do invite your calls. We've got a great show coming up here. Of course, we just chat about gardening, and if you have anything to chat about, we're here to chat with you because that's what we do. We will be back with the Garden Show after these short messages. Well, on a beautiful Saturday morning, and I say beautiful, I always say beautiful, but this morning it really is beautiful. The sun is shining, it's a little crispy out there, but a little frost on the pumpkins. And we've got Ariel joining us. Ariel, are there any frost on your pumpkins this morning?
That's hilarious. My dad used to say that when I was a little girl.
Yeah, well, I'm a dad.
I know. I just think it's cute. Reminds me of my father. I want to ask you a question about Christmas cactus. And you know how they come out in like millions of buds and all that? Why is it that some of them they drop off the buds, the flower buds?
Yeah, well, it's very common. It happens to everyone. I mean, with mine, I get about probably, I would say 80 to 90% of them actually come through and open and bloom. And then the rest, they kind of stall when they get about the size of maybe half the size of a pea or so. They're still fairly small. And then they just kind of stop and they stall. The plant goes through its process. It blooms. It looks gorgeous. And then those blooms start to fade. So you pinch those off. And then all those buds generally just drop, the ones that didn't take. So I'm not 100% sure what the process is there, but it's normal, and I find that pretty much every year I get similar. Some years I get a little more, and some years a little less. You know, that come through to fruition, but that sort of seems to be for me the average, and I think it's just one of these things that just in nature you're going to get the majority of them coming through to fruition, and some of them that just don't come out. They just stall and they're done.
Duds.
Duds.
Well, they don't call you an expert for nothing, do they?
Well, that's just kind of a observation, you can say. But there, you know, I guess if we researched it, try to find out what it is, and it's generally, you know, we know the process that happens when a plant sheds a leaf or a plant sheds a bud or a bloom, with abscisic acid building up at this receptacle point where they actually join together, and that causes a formation of corky tissue that causes it to drop off. But you know, it doesn't matter what that means. All it is that we know that you know, nature does its best job of getting as many flowers through to fruition as it can.
Little super glue actually works on them.
Yeah, well, that's good work. Not bad idea.
You're so funny.
So, Ariel, you know what an expert is, the definition of an expert. It's
okay.
X
Lay it on me.
and X is an unknown quantity, and spurt is a drip under pressure. So there you go.
Oh, thank you. You too.
Okay, bye-bye.
Day.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for calling.
Yeah. It's kind of amazing. I heard that at a seminar way back in the 70s from a guy, and I've never forgotten it. Teresa, welcome to the show. Good morning.
Hello, Ken and Dawn. How are you?
We are well.
Good, thanks.
This is our Teresa. You know, we have lots of Teresas. This is not Mother Teresa. This is Teresa Hodge.
Well, I don't know. Is there a difference? I'm just kidding.
Oh, no, of course not. Of course not.
Good morning. I'm enjoying the sunshine, I hope, because I'm looking out there, and, you know, if I crank the heat up high enough, I'll actually think it's summer.
Yeah, it is beautiful. It's beautiful. And I bet you your little greenhouse is still not frosty in there.
You know what? I've been out there, and I can't believe it. Like, I have a lot of herbs and whatnot in there, and that baby is blooming. Like, they're just going crazy out there. I'm having a fine time.
That's wonderful. Yeah.
But I did do the other one. I did put a tarp over the other one just in case, and when it snows, it won't collapse. So we'll see.
Right.
But I am calling because, my Christmas cactus doesn't even get buds, so I don't know what's going on there. But I have a question about my Phalaenopsis. I actually got 2 for my birthday, which is beautiful.
Nice.
I love orchids. I took the little peat plug out of there, or whatever it's, when they ship them, they've got it almost at the base of the orchid. Mm-hmm. There's a little piece in there. Is that actually something that you should do? Because I keep hearing it's what they call an orchid killer, and I thought, I don't know if that's an old wives' tale or not, but I always take it out, and then repot. So is that true?
I'm not familiar with what you're talking about there, Teresa. It's a peat pellet, like a Jiffy 7 type pellet, or
it kind of looks like that, and it's right, like if you unbury out of the bark. Mm. It's attached to the very bottom. I guess that's when they plant them. They plant them in there.
Probably part of the propagation process. And I don't think it's an issue. My Phalaenopsis, a lot of people have Phalaenopsis in pots and whatever. Mine, the one that I have in the greenhouse, just sits bare root in a chicken wire cage that's with some moss in it. And so I'm trying to emulate what the Phalaenopsis, in Florida and whatnot, do in the crotches of trees and whatnot. They're not terrestrial. They don't have soil. Now, they may have used that peat for the propagation purposes. So I don't think it's an issue, but taking it away is not an issue either.
No, I took it out and I cleaned it all up, and then I put everything back in because I know it's either moss or bark because they grow on trees. Yep. So I just, again, like you, I just put everything back in again. Yeah. But I took that out because I heard that if you water quite often, it'll hold the water, and that's when it starts rotting.
Well, that can be the case.
Yeah.
That one issue with...
Yeah, and if it's peat, that could happen. They do use sphagnum moss as well, which is more like hairy and stringy. And that's something that's more, I would say, is a better choice, and then that you just leave it in place typically.
And orchid bark is often what they use to...
Like you say, though, for that propagation phase, they'll use either sphagnum but some people could use like a peat pellet like that for sure. Yeah. And that's probably a good idea to get rid of that, the peat pellet.
I just didn't want to be doing something I didn't have to do if it turns out it's a wives' tale, but I've always done it, so...
I don't know if I'd bother.
Keep your humidity high. That's the key, because that's why they have these things, is to maintain humidity around the base of the plant. But whatever you can do. What I do sometimes, like I always look for these like oversized jars or oversized vases or something that's a big glass unit, and then I'd put my orchid in there.
That's cool.
On a bed of a little bit of gravel, like just a few pieces, some rocks actually, and then put a little bit of water in the bottom of that. And then what it does is create this little fish tank effect. Humidity. You get the little humidity environment, and the orchids just go crazy for that. They love it. So
I'm going to have to try that because I got one. I'm looking at it right now. It's got my alliums in it, my dried alliums.
Oh yeah.
And I'm thinking that would be perfect. I'm going to try that. That'd be very cool.
Yeah, and it all has to do with the size of your Phalaenopsis, of course, because some of those varieties get quite massive, and it's really hard to find something they'll fit in. But on the other hand, I would even consider using an old fish tank, and cleaning it all out, and then putting some rocks and moss, standing it on end instead of on sideways, right? So you get a vertical effect, and put your Phalaenopsis inside of that, and then just cover the back of it with something, which would have been the top of it.
So like, when are you coming over here to help me
do that? Yeah, well, I know it's such a fun thing to try. I always, I keep my eyes peeled for fish tanks and glass vases.
That's why I say it.
Yeah, well, you can make an environment. Then if you create this sort of this humid little like a mini greenhouse, like a terrarium, and then you can have your orchids in there, and you could have some other little tropical plants that creep around that love to be in humid environments. So.
I can just see that happening, Teresa. Now, Remembrance Day is over.
Yeah.
Are you Christmasized? Getting there?
No, has started. Yeah, we're getting there.
Yeah, yeah, I know. This is the most Christmassy place in town over at your place. Anyway, we're going to have to.
I waited till November 12th.
There you go. Yeah, that's a wise thing to do.
We're due for a hockey game again.
Oh, we
I'll
are.
have to
We
make
are.
Sure Charlie moves the 3 Christmas trees in the hockey room around, so you can sit down.
No, we got to do that. We actually, Donna had mentioned that there's one coming up, a 4:00 Toronto game, and
today.
Well, we'll have to check that out. But she said there's one coming up. She's my manager.
I know. I'm Charlie's.
There you go.
Somebody's got to keep control.
Well, you call. Or
Teresa,
get Donna to call.
Always love to hear from you. And say hi to Charlie.
Yeah, I will do that.
Right.
Take care, you two.
Yeah, thanks
Bye-bye.
for calling.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Quite the couple, that is. And I'll tell you, we're very, very lucky to have them in this town.
Yeah, fun to take in the
great
hockey
people.
game, and especially, well, any time is a good time for hockey, but at Christmas time, getting your Christmas trees out, getting things all set up, and doing some decorating.
Now, just before we take a break, which we're going to do in a minute or so here, I just want to remind people about our wonderful trip to the Seattle, the Northwest Flower and Garden Festival, they call it now. It used to be the Northwest Flower and Garden Show, and now it's a festival. So
Yes.
it's taken it up another level. It's a festival.
Yes.
Anyway, that's coming up in February 22nd, and if you want to get on board, it's pretty reasonable, $7.99 per person for all 4 days we're away, plus 3 nights at the hotel, and tickets to the show, and all this free seminars, and just a lot of fun on the bus. So give Sun Fun Tours a call, and that is 250-763-6133. And on that note, we are going to take a short break, and we'll be back with more of The Garden Show after this short break. And the sun is shining, and we are having a wonderful time this morning, and we are joined now by our buddy Dan Bruce. Dan, I brought in a little gift for Ken today, and I know you'd be envious because you I might have given you one too. I don't know. I can't remember who I gave one to. This is this Tephra-cactus with the paperish spines on it. They're not really spines. Anyway, I don't want you to be envious, but anyway, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Dan.
I'm envious.
Oh, well, I knew you would be. I love making you envious because I have been to your place so many times and been just, my drool cup is overflowing.
Yeah, I know. It takes quite a while to clean up after a Don Burnett visit.
I know. Something else.
You too.
Anyway,
what have you got going on this morning, Dan?
At this time of year, of course, the the various outlets are supplied with hippeastrum bulbs.
Yes.
In boxes.
Yes.
And I always think they're a really cool Christmas gift.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Because you get 2 bangs for your buck. You give the gift at the appropriate time, and it's in this nice, attractive box, and so on and so on. And then some assembly required. You have to put it together.
Yeah.
But then the gift really blossoms literally later.
It's like an IKEA box, some assembly required.
Yes.
Yeah.
I have to say, though, that the equipment that they supply with the bulbs is really not terribly good.
No, yeah.
In fact, I reckon people ask me, and I say just chuck it and get a proper ceramic earthenware flower pot,
right,
and proper soil. But when you're choosing a bulb, I recommend people don't buy it unless you can see the bulb. Either open the box right there in the store, or have them open it and inspect the bulb, because years ago I took home a non-event.
Yeah, a non-event.
Oh.
So a good bulb should be of decent size. It should be of decent weight. It should be a solid feeling thing. if you see the roots are sort of shriveled up and tending to break off, that's not a problem. When you go to pot it, just tease those roots off or snip them off with scissors, the ones that are shriveled and dry, because they won't come back. But the bulb will produce new roots very quickly. And if the bulb you're getting is has got some thicker, firmer, white or pale yellow roots, those are fine. I mean, those will start to work right away. And some of the bulbs will have started to grow already, even in the box.
Well, yeah, I know. Dan, just to interrupt you for a second, we used to sell our Hippeastrum, which is commonly called amaryllis, incorrectly, but commonly. And we used to sell them. We used to have them in bins, these wooden bins that I had, and literally with no soil, with no. We'd actually, if we neglected them and didn't go and check them out, you'd have one pushing a bloom stem, and it would be coming out of the bin and actually in bloom with no soil.
Yeah, that will happen.
Yeah.
I like to buy a bulb that hasn't started yet.
Right.
Because then you don't get damage to that over-eager tip that's coming up.
Yes, exactly. We just took one that we purchased, and that's how we picked it, was that it was one that was just starting to show a little bit of green coming up the middle. Yeah. So we knew it was kind of alive, and it was starting to motion. And we got it home, we potted it up ourselves, and then watched it. Didn't do anything for quite a while. This wasn't moving. So we moved it and put it on our heated little pad. We have the heated pads for propagation with the grow light. And it woke up. Within about 2 days, it had shot up a half an inch, and so we knew it's good to go. And those roots, that'll stimulate the roots. A little bit of heat.
As you say, Dan, they make a great Christmas gift, and they can come back year after year. You can.
Yes. I mean, you should keep them, and when you look at the bulb, first take it out of the box, look at it directly from the top. The leaves of an Hippeastrum come out symmetrically from the center. The flower spike comes out from the offside. I
noticed that, yes.
So you can tell if you see some green happening in the center, that's fine, that's expected, and that has to be there because that's the leaves. But the flower bud itself is coming from either side.
Yes,
and it's quite discernible actually with the little pointy thing and fat, whatever. Yeah,
the leaf, the emerging new leaf is thin like paper. The bulb is the flower is fatter.
Yeah, and the leaves are a little rounder on the top rather than pointed. Yeah.
So that when you're potting the bulb, get some decent soil. This thing is going to perform for you, so you perform for it. Give it decent soil.
Right.
And a slow-release fertilizer mixed in with that soil is a good thing. Once you've got it in the pot, then water it. I put the water around the inside of the rim of the pot and try not to get it on the bulb itself, although that's not too big of a deal. I'll water it thoroughly and then let it sort of half dry out before you start to water it again. If the bulb has no root, it's going to make roots of its own, and that's its own business. It's very good at doing that. But if you flood it with too much water, it kind of drowns, and you run the risk of rotting it.
Yeah.
Her name escapes me at the moment. Reed in England. She is the keeper of the national collection of Hippeastrum.
Wow.
And has written a decent book, and she's quite insistent about not letting them sit in water.
Yes, yes.
And she's absolutely right in England.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She has not visited, as far as I know, the searing heat of the Okanagan,
Right.
where the pot can sit in water and not be
Problematic.
a problem.
Yeah.
So yes, you can be a lot more generous with water here than you can in either Vancouver or places with a similar environment.
Yeah, and another thing that we actually had, they make these vases specifically for amaryllis that are glass, and they're fat at the bottom, and they come up and they get very narrow at like a neck, and then they come out really wide for a big amaryllis bulb to sit in.
Yeah.
And then you sit your amaryllis bulb on it, and you bring your water level up to about a half an inch below that bulb.
Yeah.
And then what happens is within just a short period of time, those roots, they feel that humidity there. They know the water's near, and they shoot out of the bottom of the bulb, and they grow down into the water. And it's really fascinating to watch. But the key is keeping the actual bulb out of the water, but letting the roots dangle. And, plants are pretty good at adjusting their root because they can actually adapt that root to being in underwater or being above water or being dry or whatever. The roots are quite adaptable. So
Now Dan, before I let you go here, you mentioned at the beginning, get a proper pot. You mentioned ceramic or clay. That's been not controversial or whatever, but it's been a discussion over the years, clay versus plastic pots. Is it aesthetics or is it actual ability for a pot to sustain a plant better if it's a clay pot than a plastic pot?
I think that the red earthenware ceramic pots are the best thing to go with because they're heavier.
There's a point. Yep.
This tends to stop things from becoming top heavy.
There's a good point.
Hippistrum flowers best if it's pot bound.
Yes.
And one thing that I do sometimes is in arranging putting the plant in the pot, in the ceramic pot, I put a big rock in there.
Okay.
Because hippistrum does tend to get top heavy.
Right.
So the rock increases or decreases the root space in the pot, which increases the pot bound effect.
Well, that makes a lot of sense. Next week we'll talk.
Plastic pots, I think, react too fast to temperature. The ceramic ones keep a more even temperature.
There's another good fact. Yeah.
Because there are some species of hippistrum that are in the wild. They're actually epiphytes. They grow in trees.
Oh wow!
Oh, interesting.
And they cling on like orchids. So they're adapted to sharp drainage, as well as being somewhat root bound.
All good points, Dan. Next week, I know you'll come on board with something, but might want to talk about the actual amaryllis. Next week, we'll talk about the actual amaryllis, which is a genus, but what we call amaryllis is hippistrum. We don't, and I'm glad I've met you over the years because I used to call it hippiastrum. But hippistrum sounds a lot better. Doesn't sound like an old hippie. Anyway.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Thanks, Dan.
We'll talk next week.
You betcha. Take care.
Okay, right.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye now. And, it's always fun to talk to Dan. Look, we're going to take another short break. We do invite your calls. Give us a call, 250-862-2525, or if you're calling from out of town anywhere, 1-888-780-4273. We will be back with The Garden Show after this short break. We're having fun today, folks, and we're working our way up to Christmas when we'll have our special Christmas Family Garden Show just prior to Christmas. We always have that Christmas Family Garden Show, which we have lots of people of note calling it and having some fun. We we'll do the same this year, as we always do. But we've got Doug online, and thanks for joining us, Doug. Good morning.
Good morning. A quick question for you, Don and Ken. I bought I think it's called a Darwick Gold Beach tree a few days ago.
Nice.
And it's in a large, I think it's probably about a 10-gallon pot.
Right.
I'm doing some work removing some of the grass area and putting plants in instead. But there's more work to be done there, and I'm curious, can I simply put that tree in its pot into the ground, cover it well, and then next spring take it out of the pot and plant it where I want it?
Yes. Well, yes, you can. If it was left at the nursery, what they would do is they would just take them all, put them in a row, and bury the base of the whole entire pot would be about 6 inches under the surface of, say, compost or mulch or sawdust or something, and that would give it some frost protection to the root system for the winter, and that would be fine. The issues you may run into is, especially if it's pot bound, if that root system is all just wound inside that pot and it's been there way too long, meaning the tree is big and the pot is small, then you're going to run into problems with that two ways. One is through the winter, the thing's going to desiccate and dry out because it's got way too many roots in the space. So then you'd ideally water that thing through the winter to keep it alive. But you haven't solved the issue with this root ball that's all twisted together and round into a ball.
Right.
So if you were able to actually plant it in the ground in its location this fall, that would be a superior option for this plant, especially, like I say, if it's overgrown. Then what you can do now, like now that the tree is dormant, you can think of it as being like, it can't really tell what's going on, but it's an opportunity to do some root damage and allow the roots to recover over the winter time. So that's where we pull the thing out of the pot. We actually get in there with maybe a hammer with the tines on a hammer and get in there and claw, rip at that root system and completely tear it apart and get rid of these girdling roots that go around in that pot. And so you can do this root damage in the fall, but and you can use knives or pruners or the ideal thing is not to smush the roots, like mash them up. But you need a bit of equipment because it's hard to do. You get in there and pry it all apart and get that root system opened up. Because if you can imagine a 6-7 foot high tree would have a root system that's about 6 or 7 feet in diameter. And so that root system is now all bound up inside that little pot. So if that's the case, it'd be nice to try to do that. Now, if you did that and you tore the thing all apart and you planted it into the ground and you gave it a couple stakes to hold it up because it's not going to be rooting very well at first, and then you put a little bit of composty mulch around the thing and water it in really well and let it ride through the winter, then in the spring it wouldn't really be rooted very much by spring, but a lot of these damaged little ends and whatnot, the damage you've done are started to callus over, they're starting to heal up, they're getting ready to send out some new shoots. So you could dig the thing up again at that time and put it somewhere else temporarily, finish your work and get it back in as early as you can. And that would be acceptable. And so what I'm saying is that the winter is this opportunity for it to be completely dormant, so you can do this kind of surgery on it,
right?
And then give it a few months for it to kind of recover from that.
Okay, that's very helpful. Yeah, it just means I need to get to work and get it in the ground.
You were just being lazy, like Ken.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay. Thanks for the call.
Yeah, thanks. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye now.
Yeah.
And before we take our break at the bottom of the hour, we've got Jack joining us. Good morning, Jack.
Hi, Don and Ken. Look, my problem is my daffodil bulbs. I haven't been home for 10 days, but before I left, they were pushing up. And also, I bought some and put them in pots, and in 2 weeks, they were pushing up. How do I protect them?
Interesting. Well, a little mulch.
It did it last year. Well, I can throw leaves on them or something?
Yeah,
leaves or mulch. Leaves or mulch, Jack. I mean, just to protect them a little bit. But they're not going to grow too much now that the winter's here. I don't know what triggered that. What do you think, Ken?
Well, last year it did the same thing. They got up 2 inches. I had to phone back in February and ask my friend to throw a bunch of peat moss on them.
Yeah, where are you located?
Yep,
in Glenmore.
Oh, Glenmore. Okay, yeah. So that can happen. It's sort of common for those to start pushing during the winter months, and you'll see that with other types of bulbs too. They'll send up a little shoot, and they just kind of poke a leaf out, and they're just really. Typically, it's a sign of them being happy that they've rooted in and everything's healthy and it's happening. But that little shoot that does come up, if you get temperatures that go below -10 or so, then those usually will burn off. So you do get a slight bit of damage on them, and even that, I don't think that really affects the plant that much, because in nature that may happen normally. But as Don was saying, and as you mentioned, is throw some peat moss or some compost, some ogogrow, something sort of a compost over the top of that, or some mulch, some bark mulch, or just about anything. The leaves are okay. It's just they tend to blow around a bit, so you need to to corral them a bit with maybe a little bit of chicken wire or something. But anything that you can do to kind of just buffer it from that hard frost, it just keeps the entire plant, including those tips, in place, keeps them happy, through the winter months. Because remember that daffodils are not as tough as, say, a tulip bulb would be. Tulip bulbs, you just, if you just went out with a handful of tulip bulbs and threw them in your yard and came back in the spring, every one would have rooted in and be shooting up, just laying there on the surface. But a daffodil, they would all freeze and die because they're not as winter hardy, right?
They didn't freeze last year, and last year was bad, as we all know.
Yeah.
But I'm just worried about them. This is earlier than they were pushing up last year. And those ones in those pots, I just can't believe it. I put them in 2 weeks ago, 2.5 weeks ago, and they were pushing up too.
Yeah. Just put the mulch around those pots, Jack.
Okay.
I don't think you're going to have an issue. I think they're going to bloom next spring and be just strong, and it just serves you right for going away for the winter and not being here. So anyway.
Well, I'll be back tomorrow morning looking at them.
There you go. Awesome.
It's 75 degrees down here right now.
Oh my God!
Nice.
Oh, good for you.
Yeah. All right, then.
Jack, thanks for the call.
Thanks.
Take
Bye-bye.
care. Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye.
There's Jack listening online down south in 75-degree weather. There you go. That's
Fabulous.
Fahrenheit, of course.
You betcha.
Yeah. Well, the first half of the show is whipped by here like grease lightning, and we appreciate the calls, and we're looking forward to more calls in the second half of the show coming up very, very quickly here. I did mention the trip again because we do want to make sure people know about our fabulous trip to Seattle. However, I'm shuffling paper here because that's what I do when I'm trying to think here.
You're a paper shuffler.
Yeah. The yard waste, just to give people the heads up, the yard waste in the Okanagan. Now, I'm not sure. Maybe some folks know in Victoria or Penticton when their green bins are going to maybe in Victoria they go right through the year, but in the Okanagan here in Kelowna in particular, by December 31st we're done with the green bins.
Oh, so it goes right
through to December 31st, and then it starts up again in March. But
well, that makes sense.
Oh yeah, and I'll tell you, we've been filling green bins, and we've got some neighbors down the road who have no garden or very, very little garden, and they have a duplex, and so
you're borrowing their green bin.
People see me walking down the street with a green bin. They think, here's the old Don Burnett picking up plants somewhere or whatever. I don't know what kind of comments I get. But
it's a common occurrence because I had to do the same thing the other day as well. I had to borrow the neighbors, not my neighbors, but at a client's property. Borrow the neighbors and top it up as they were out of town anyway. Sure. So, it was just sitting there empty, waiting for somebody to put some compost in it, and away we go.
I just don't know what we used to do when the green bin system wasn't there.
Yeah.
Because
had to make a pile, I guess.
Well, we would take it to the composting place out there.
To the nuisance grounds?
Yeah, to the nuisance ground. Yeah, my dad used to call it the nuisance ground. Anyway, we're going to take this break pretty quick here, and we're looking forward to more calls when we come back. 1-888-780-4273. If you're calling from anywhere listening online or from Victoria or Penticton, 250-862-2525 is the old number that we've been using for many, many years. As a matter of fact, since 1983, it was when we started the show, which is kind of fun. Next May, Ken, it'll be our 2000th show. So we're going to have a big celebration, and I believe we will. We'll have some fun.
We'll have a party.
We'll do our thing.
You bet.
And, so keep listening, folks, because we got a whole 1 hour of Garden Show left coming after the 9 o'clock news. I get my arborist magazines in every month. Mm-hmm. And in the magazines, there's a CEU test. You can get one CEU, which is a continuing education unit.
Right.
And you have to maintain your certification. You have to have that CEUs. You need 30 every 3 years. In other words, 10 CEUs a year, which really isn't that difficult, except that with me, I wait until the last, like my certification comes up in June. And so here I am scrambling to get CEUs but anyway, that's what I'm doing now. Instead of reading the newspaper, I put that thing in front of me and I do my CEU test. On my thing. So that works out okay.
Yeah, fabulous.
What the heck? I mean, yeah, but I'm very saddened losing my newspaper. Anna is joining us. Good morning, Anna.
Yes, good morning. I was calling about my calla lilies. I'm just trying to put them away for the winter. I've tried them before, but it's too warm down in my basement and it's too cold out in the garage. But this year, I got a styrofoam cooler type of a thing, and I was wondering, do you think out in the garage, even though there's no heat there, with some, peat moss or something in with them, or do you think that would save them? Because usually they dry all up.
Do you go away for the winter?
No.
No, okay, you're here for the winter.
Yeah, I'm here.
That would be fine, and the styrofoam would actually keep some degree of moisture in there, too, so that it wouldn't
as long as it's
dissipate.
not going to go to -10 or something in there.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm constantly watching the weather, and if it's going to get to be -10 out in the garage, it may be too much, probably will be too much for the cannas. So just watch it. If it's only like -1, -5 outside, in your carport, which is probably insulated but not heated, it probably would be fine to have it in that cooler with the thing. But just keep in mind that you've got them then sitting in there, and if we have one of those drops, and you're in the Okanagan, I assume?
Right, yeah. In Kelowna here.
If you're in Kelowna, if you're in the Okanagan, then you've got to expect there's going to be a week or 10 days of real nasty stuff, and in that case, you want to just pick up that cooler, nice and handy, put it inside the house for that duration of that cold snap, and then get it back out again right away into the garage.
Yeah.
Just do that, because being in that cooler, boy, I've never thought about that. But those big styrofoam coolers,
yeah, or even just a regular cooler if you're not using it through the winter months.
Yeah. Yeah, and Donna's often wanted me to create something out in the garage to store, potatoes and things like that she has. And there's a great idea. I'm going to maybe look at Value Village or someplace and get a couple of old coolers.
Get some coolers,
Yeah,
it's a great idea.
All righty. Okay. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you, dear. Appreciate the help.
Right,
and look at that.
Bye-bye.
We've learned something already. Okay.
There you go.
Take care, Anna.
We don't learn something every day, eh?
There you
That's
go,
right.
yeah.
Thanks for the call. Appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye now.
Bye-bye.
Yeah. So I'm hard at as I mentioned last week too. I'm making door prizes for our trip. I like to give away lots of door prizes on our bus going down to the Seattle. When we're down there, of course, we take this big, huge box of door prizes and we keep it stashed under the bus. Mm-hmm. Last year there wasn't a lot of room under the bus, so the bus driver brought them up, put them on the back seat.
Right.
And we had a couple of the participants go and start picking through the door prizes. I had to get, not mad, but I had to tell them, hey, those are for later. Yeah. We do those on the way home, not right now. And besides, I'm giving them out. You're not taking them. Anyway, but
rules.
Making these little vases with little, what do you call those, test tubes. test tube vase where you have a test tube in there, and it's a nice little shaped vase, just for a small flower in the bathroom or on the counter or whatever. They're really handy. Donna has a couple of them that I made, and she uses them all the time. Just one blossom or one miniature rosebud in them or whatever, and they make a lovely little container. And I use them for gifts and whatnot. So I'm busy doing that right now in the workshop, getting all dusty. And we're still eating. Canned peaches from 2023.
Ooh, I was going to say 19. Funny? That might be
Isn't
bad.
that funny how
that could be really bad.
I'm so old. I keep thinking 1900s. It's not 1900s anymore. It is the 20th. It's the 21st century now. And last year we had, like this year we just went through in the summer, we didn't have any peaches, so we didn't can this year. But I've still got about 5 or 6 jars from the year before, and they're still delicious, Ken. I just really highly recommend for folks that have children that are up in their early adulthood or whatever, freshly married or have left home or whatever. I highly recommend you as a person who's been down the road and canned and that, teach these kids how to can, because I think it's going to be more important than ever as time goes on to preserve fruit and have it over the winter, fruit and vegetables and things, and learn how to do that. We used to do that back in the days, back in the 30s, 40s, and 50s.
Oh, yeah. Everybody used to have a room, like a cold room, and it was just cool, but it was filled with canned goods. Yeah. It's a fabulous idea, emergency backup, whatever you want to call it, but just the cost of fruits and vegetables these days are outrageous, and it's difficult sometimes to get them even. And I can see in the future, with, I'm going to say it, crop losses are happening every year, and if that keeps up, well, you got to preserve some stuff.
You betcha.
And not only they're more delicious, and they're
jump
more
on the bandwagon. It's much better to grab a jar of peaches out of your canning room, as we call it, or a cold storage room, or than to go into Safeway and grab one off the shelf. There's no question.
Yep.
We've got Scott from Summerland, and I'm wondering if this is our Scott.
Is this the Scott?
Well, there's more than one Scott in Summerland, but it is that Scott.
I love you, man. Thanks for the call.
You guys?
Yeah, doing good.
You guys?
Yeah.
Haven't heard from you for a while.
Yeah.
I just wanted to give you an update on the yard waste pickup down in Penticton. The November one is ended on the 8th, but there's another one in December, from December 2nd to the 6th.
Okay.
Oh, okay. So there's
I happen to have that random fact floating around in my head.
Yeah, no.
I looked it up.
Yeah, of course you did. Scott, because we can always look stuff up nowadays. I was just saying earlier on that my library is collecting dust now because I use the internet so much.
Yeah.
But anyway, I can't let my books go, especially Scott Austin's book. I can't let that one go. I look at it quite often. Look at Scott. So do they have a green bin system there like we have in Kelowna?
It's interesting. In Summerland, this year we just started a green bin system for the first time, and it's a weekly collection, and it's year round because they also have given us a bin to put underneath our, in the kitchen. Okay. And we can empty all the kitchen waste.
Okay, so you're going on that program?
Green bin. Yeah, I am. I had a compost, and I got a really small property now, but I decided, I can probably turn that space into something else. And I use the compost that I generated, but I don't need very much of it. So we're in with the weekly yard waste program, and I tell you, even with a small property, it's amazing how much you generate between the kitchen and then the fall cleanup and cleanups for my daughter and cleanups at the church. And I mean, there's always stuff in there. It goes out almost every week. So it's working pretty well, I think.
Well,
the goal was to take stuff out of the landfill.
Of course.
And
of course. And it's working well in Kelowna. We've had the green bin system here probably since, probably for the last 15 years at least, but we don't have the kitchen wastes program. Down at the coast, my sister when I visit her in Gibson's, I mean, that's they've got a system there where it's a composted, kitchen waste, compost, I think, do they have meat in that? I don't know if there's any meat products go into there. I think that goes in the garbage.
So.
But
you can do meat in Summerland.
You can.
We don't. We don't eat a lot of meat anyways. But, if you freeze it and then put it in there, kind of the day before it gets picked up.
Yeah. Well, that's really a great thing too. If for instance, when we periodically, not always, but we periodically have gone out fishing and brought back some trout and whatnot.
Yeah.
What we do with the refuse, the guts and things from the trout and the heads and whatnot. We put them in a plastic bag, put them in the freezer, and then when the garbage pickup comes, we can put them in there, and there's no
good
problem.
Way to do it.
Yeah. Scott, we got to take a break here, but I always appreciate your call. Do you want to hang on? You got something else to say?
Sure.
Hang on through the break, and we'll talk to you after the break.
I got a question for you guys.
Oh,
perfect.
Good. See if stump the boys. Okay.
I don't think it's a stumper, but we'll see.
Okay. Talk to you in a minute.
We're going to take a short break here, and we'll be back with the Garden Show after this short break. And we're back with you with the Garden Show and broadcasting it to Victoria and Penticton. And we have our good buddy Scott Austin, who the folks in Penticton know very, very well. Been on the air for many, many years. And we went on a trip. Scott came with Ken and I on the trip to Seattle.
Did we go with Scott?
We
went with Scott. I can't remember.
Well, we went down. We called ourselves the Tree Amigos.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah,
the Tree Amigos.
We have the pictures to prove it.
Yeah, that's right.
Exactly.
It's too much fun.
But the only thing is, we didn't run the tape that night in the hotel room during the jam session.
No, we had a great jam session. That was a lot of fun. A lot of fun.
Copies everywhere. Anyways, that was a lot of fun. Great show. Great time. You guys do a fabulous job.
Yeah.
So if you're thinking about what am I going to do in February when it's probably going to be cold and gray in the Okanagan, jump on the bus and go down to Seattle, where it will be spring guaranteed.
Yeah, it's a great show. And the first time I'd ever heard of the show was an article that I saw you write in the paper. You wrote about the show, and you wrote about plant amnesty. I remember that clearly. And
Cass Turnbull.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, Cass Turnbull.
We used to go down with another tour company out of Penticton. Myself and Alan, my coworker, went a few years. We had a great time. And as you guys know, a bus full of gardeners. How can you go wrong?
Oh, you can't go wrong with that. And you know what? We sometimes when I talk to people and say, "Well, you should come on the trip." Oh, my husband doesn't garden. He's a mechanic or something. It isn't nothing wrong with a mechanic, mind you. But I'm just saying.
Yeah.
And I said, "Hey, bring your husband, because whether you're a mechanic or not, you can't deny it is the most beautiful show down there."
Yeah, it really is beautiful.
Yeah. Except we took one of our friends, my brother-in-law's mother-in-law, up. And she's up in years now, and she wanted to come with us so badly. So, great, let's go. So halfway through the show, she ends up with this huge allergic reaction.
Oh, no.
She's allergic to flowers. I said, well, Margaret, this is a flower show. But you just tell me now you're allergic to flowers. Yeah.
Oh dear.
There you go. So,
hey, I got a question for you guys. I was, and I used to get asked this question a lot at the garden center every year at this time. Do I cut ornamental grasses down, or should I leave into the winter? Mm-hmm. And I don't know about you guys, but is it changing now? Are you seeing more and more gardens? And I don't know what you do, Ken, as part of your business, but do you cut them down now or soon, or do you just leave them till the spring and take a chance that the winter's going to play havoc with them and they're going to look terrible?
Well, that's an excellent topic actually to chat about, because the movement is now to go away from doing intensive, like leaving your garden too clean through the winter, because they say a lot of insects and even bacteria and fungus and all kinds of organisms in the earth rely on that cover of debris and leafage and just material laying around. And so that would be nature. And then what as in a company situation, you're at the beckoning of your client, and your clients want it to be neat and tidy. So that's your job to go in and get rid of all that stuff in the fall. We don't want stuff blowing around. We don't want grasses flopping and getting crushed over the winter by snow. So everything's got to be pretty much spotless. But that being said, I have a handful of clients who say, yeah, no, I'm good with that. Don't do too much. Like, just make things a little bit tidy, so they're not too messy looking, but just leave everything as is, and we'll do a big spring cleanup,
Yeah. I see more and more people. I was thinking about this week because I was going through some photos on my computer, and I took a whole bunch of photos of ornamental grasses in front of the garden center down there in Penticton at Gardenworks. And we have lots of them. We planted lots through the years. And, on a bright, cold day in January, when the sun is shining and the snow is kind of sitting on those grasses, or the sun is behind those grasses, there's nothing like it. But on the other hand, the wet, heavy snow that we seem to get now, it really makes a mess. And I have firsthand experience of that in my own yard. I have 4 Northwind panicum switchgrass along my sidewalk, and like 2 winters ago, they just got crushed by the snow, and it got so cold that they kind of froze all in a big lump, and it was so hard to clean them up. I thought I should just do this, before this happens, and so last year I cut them down in early December.
Yeah, and it's much easier on us to do that. And I think the fall cleanup for me has that other benefit, is that once everything is clean and tidy and neat, I still prefer that, an organic composted mulch product. But in the springtime, if I don't have to be spending too much time walking through my beds, because the beds, I have so many things like peonies shooting up and hostas and different perennials, herbaceous perennials. I don't want to be walking through there, because it just smushes everything down. You forget, there was a bleeding heart there, and I crushed it. But I don't mind it when the deer do it, because they don't have an excuse. But the other factor is this is what brings in stepping stones. The original use of stepping stones in the garden was to know how to get in there, where you can stand when you're doing your cutting back. So if you don't want to do the fall cleanup and let it roll through, then before you cut everything off, is go in and place your stepping stones, and you have to do it at 2 different times. One is like when the bulbs are shooting up and they're starting to do their thing. You want to know where their locations are, which are often right where you would put a stepping stone, unfortunately. But, you just want to find those spots where there isn't anything growing. And ideally, when you design the garden, that would be my tip for designers, is to throw in some, like if you're doing a herbaceous perennial garden, is throw in some stepping stones here and there that go in even during the planting process, so that you don't end up putting these things on top of existing plants.
Yeah, that's a good point. And don't put them so far away that you have to reach. Put everything within reach of that stone, and then move on to the next one. That's a very good point. But I just wanted to ask you guys about the grasses, because it has become, obviously, our winter weather is a topic of endless discussion, but we don't seem to get dry snow anymore, right? It comes, it's wet and it's heavy, and there's a lot of it, and it just crushes the grasses. And it doesn't really matter to the grasses. There's no advantage, because they're all more than winter hardy enough to survive.
And if you
our winters.
If you think about it, in nature, these grasses grow in a big pile of dead grass from years previous.
They do.
They shoot up out of the middle of it.
Shoot up, yeah.
The older you get, the heavier the snow gets, Scott.
Well, that's just it. Like I said, that experience 2 years ago, I changed my mind. Because I used to tell people, just leave them because they look so nice in winter, and just wait until you see the new growth coming up in the spring, and then give them a good hard pruning down to that new growth. But now I'm thinking,
tidying up the grasses, but leaving some of the litter, the forest litter, kind of is a good plan.
Yeah. All right, great to talk with you guys.
Scott, always nice to hear from you, buddy. And we do have to see you in the flesh at some point.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
maybe.
I look forward to that.
If I know family time and everything at Christmas, but if the roads are all right and everything, maybe you can whip down here and join us for our family Christmas show.
That would be fun.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
But you'd have to stop over to Don's greenhouse afterwards to look at his succulent collection.
And I have to tie your hands behind your back.
Yeah, and then the musical instruments will come out.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And this time we'll run the tape and make a bootleg.
Yeah,
there we
you go.
Okay, buddy. Take care,
All
Scott.
right, great to talk to you guys.
All the best.
Keep up the good work.
Thank you, buddy.
Thanks, Scott. Take care. Bye-bye.
Yeah, good friend. First time I ever actually met Scott, I was at a conference, and we were standing in line at the lunch break and standing in line at the food table, loading our plates up, and I overheard him talking, and I kind of recognized his voice from the radio, and I could tell it was Scott. And he was, giving people thoughts right at the table there, and one of them was my mom feels that if she doesn't get her peas in before the end of February, it's too late. So that's the one advice I have. Now I haven't tried. Have you done peas real early like that every time?
Yeah, not every time, but I have. What I've changed to doing now is because of the birds that come and eat them off. The little house sparrows come in and they eat the tops of the peas off as they shoot up. So I either cover them or I start them in 6-packs. I put like 1 pea in each 6-pack. Okay. And I'll do like a whole flat. So 72 of these peas in 6-packs. And then I sprout them indoors and get them up about 4 or 5 inches high. Okay. Then I put them out into the garden right where I want them, and I still give a little bit of protection to them. But once they've gone over that, 4 or 5 inches tall, then they seem to be much more resilient to insects that are coming, the climbing cutworms, the myriad of other things that would like to attack them, and including the birds.
Yeah. Very interesting, and we do invite your calls. We want to chat with you, and anytime on the Garden Show in the morning. Saturday mornings, that's what we love doing, is chatting with you folks. And if you have any questions, give us a call. If you have any comments, give us a call, because we're here to help you. We'll be back with the Garden Show after this short break. We're back with you, and 16 years ago, we were blessed with a little granddaughter, Ellie Ann, and she is now, tomorrow, turning 16. 16. Actually, it might be even today. But at any rate, right this weekend, she's turning 16. I can't believe it. I remember her popping her into the car seat to take her from daycare or whatever, helping out with Donna and I both babysat Ellie quite a bit when she was a little girl. And now she's probably this fall going to apply for her driver's license. And here I am putting her into the car. But she now has a baby sister, 16 years old, and she's got a little baby sister that's now going on 6 months old. In another short while, she'll be 6 months old. And that is Audrey. So we have Audrey and Ellie, and the two of them are just the pride of our lives. They're just two young human beings that we're just so happy to have in the family. And Lindsay just posted on Facebook a bunch of pictures of Ellie when she was little, and it just brought back memories of this little gal 16 years ago, watching her grow up. Anyway, I've been out doing consulting and doing my thing as an arborist or just as a landscape design kind of a guy or whatever. I just do my thing, and Ken does as well. But I get calls sometimes because there's a tree that has either been damaged by southwest damage, like maples are quite prone to this, or it's been damaged by a physical car scraping up against it or something. And so there's this big gaping wound in the tree, right? And so somebody on this one particular time, and this has happened periodically, they tell the homeowner, look, that tree's got to come out. It's been damaged too badly. There's going to rot setting in or whatever. you don't want to move too quickly on that. If it's an important tree, if the tree, and it takes a long time to grow a tree into fruition, into something tangible and helpful. Mm-hmm. And so you want to have a close look at that, because those big gaping wounds, especially if that wound is sort of a third of the way around the trunk or less, that tree, even though aesthetically looks ugly because of that big wound, the tree's fine. The tree is fine. It will create a hollow trunk eventually, that wound.
Yeah.
Because that's what the tree does. They set up these coated barriers so that any disease doesn't get into the new wood. But the new wood builds around, and it's like a big pipe. And a pipe is just as strong as a shaft.
Yes.
As long as the wall of the outer wall is thick enough. And so I'm right now going to have, well, I did last week. I had a look at this tree at a complex, and it was somebody said, well, the tree's got to come out. There's no reason why that tree has to come out. It's got a big wound, and this was southwest damage. It wasn't a vehicle damage.
Oh, yeah, okay. So
southwest damage.
Frost injury.
Yeah. Maybe you can talk about southwest damage, which is very common on a maples in particular, where you get on the southwest side of the tree when it's really cold out, like 20 below, snow on the ground, and full sun.
Clear sunny day, yeah, and the cells they literally burst on that side of the tree because it's just too cold, and then usually it's a rapid change in temperature as well, where the cells are sitting at maybe minus 20 degrees Celsius, and then all of a sudden, bam, the sun comes out and shines directly on that trunk. And of course, here in Canada, it's southwest. The sun is always to the southwest. It's midday. That's when it has to happen. And it's when the temperature of that bark goes from minus 20 to plus 1 suddenly. And the water sort of, what happens with cells, and I don't want to get too complicated, but the cells will force the water out of the cell and in between the cells during the dormant period when it's freezing out, and then the cell becomes concentrated sugar, so it doesn't freeze. But then when it warms up like that, the water comes back into the cell for just a second, but then the sun goes behind a cloud, bam, it drops back down to minus 20, and the cells burst, they pop. And it's always down the southwest side of the tree. And so that damage is not really that detrimental to a tree. It could be, but it's generally not.
On a very young tree, sometimes it is.
Young trees, it's hard on them, and they're more prone to it too. But then again, over the years, it just grows around it and covers up due to coat it. And remember that even if you do get that center of the tree, which was an interesting, your discussion on the pipe effect is really, really poignant. But you'll still get that inner part of the tree. It's dead and decaying, so decay fungus are going to be in there, and they're going to put mushrooms out and that sort of a thing out of the side of the tree, or conchs, that sort of thing. And it doesn't mean the tree's going to fall down, or that its structural stability is damaged in any way. It's just that the center's going to rot. That's the way it goes, and that's how nature is. So you will see stuff on the inside of the tree, starting to decay and rot out, and eventually it does even go completely hollow over time, and you just end up with this pipe effect. But even with only that, say, 20% of the entire tree trunk intact, is still strong enough to support it.
So interesting, and I just showed you this picture of this tree, and a lot of folks will say, oh, that's why they're saying, oh, you better get that tree out. It does have some girdling roots as well, but the tree's healthy. It's got 2 feet of new push of growth, so everything's happy.
Those
vascular system.
branch elongation each year is a real clear indication of what's going on with the tree. Because when you see that, like especially at the top of the tree, and you look at the top and the thing is really stunted, it's only growing a half an inch or an inch a year, you know that tree is really struggling if it's even on its way out. But if it's got 2 feet or 3 feet of growth on it, it's doing all right. It's hanging in there.
And what you see with a wound like that you have on a tree, where you look at it, this is dead wood in there. Well, yeah, it does. You take away the cambium, and that's what happens with southwest damage. Your cambium layer gets destroyed, and also with a car damage. But on this tree, there's visible wound wood that's called wound wood, and it's wrapping around, and it will eventually, what they call occlude, and it'll just fill in. So all you'll see is a little line on the trunk. Remember we picked up a book that time at the conference, The Language of Bark, or Language of the Trees, where you look and you can see sometimes on a tree indications of what happened 10 years ago to the tree,
or even 100 years ago.
Yep.
And you had those samples of wood that you graciously would let me use for my pruning seminars and whatnot, to show people. Some of those pieces of wood are just amazing, because you could count back the rings, and you can go back 100 years or 150 years, and then there's these little marks you can see inside the tree where something happened, and you can read the history of that. And the most interesting ones are the ones where there are bullets in the piece of wood.
Pine tree, that old ponderosa pine.
Yeah, you can see these little silver things in there that are showing up inside, and you count back. It was like 100 years, more than 100 years ago, way back. And then, somebody was put something on the tree for target practice in those days. And there's the
lead bullets.
Yep.
I got that from Thor Klassen.
Oh, yeah.
I got that sample from him.
Nice. Very cool.
Okay, enough talk about bark and trees and whatever. Let's give us a moment here. We're going to have a break in a few minutes here, but give us a call and ask us a question, or tell us some advice. Tell us about your clubs. Tell us about what's going on. We like to hear these things, and that's what the garden show is all about. I've often said, and I've mentioned this before, it's like two gardeners standing at the back fence, chatting over the back fence with their coffees, talking about their gardens and what's going on. And that's what we feel we are on the garden show here, and we try and keep that together. It's been a great experience having the Victoria listeners join us. We appreciate that very much. Ken and I are interior gardeners, and so any advice that we get or talk about, there's lots of stuff that overlap, that we can talk about stuff in Victoria and the coast that really relates to anything we do here. But there are some differences, and we always appreciate folks calling in from Victoria and giving us a little insight into what's going on there. It's a warmer climate, and sometimes we're very envious of you guys. However, there are some benefits for being in the interior as well. So there you go. We're going to take a short break here now. We've got about 3/4 of an hour left in the show. Give us a call when we come back with more of The Garden Show. We have Doug joining us. Good morning, Doug.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Been listening to your show for years.
Thank you.
Without, like, every time. First-time caller.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
I'm just wondering why the tomato crops were so bad this year.
Yeah. Depending where you're located, Doug.
In Kelowna.
Kelowna. Yeah. Well, that is a good question. It says usually it's weather related. It's typical that it's weather related, because there's some people have had better success in warmer areas. It's funny that in some spots they did well, and some people did have success. Not everybody had failures, but there did seem to be an above average poor crop, or let's say delayed, like it just didn't get going. And part of that is that I think sometimes people get their crops out too early, and the plants get kind of chilled. And once they get chilled, they don't ever really bounce back from that, not 100%. So that affects them sometimes. I have also found, like, I waited until right to the end of May to get mine out, and I still didn't find that it was that warm out. Like, it was okay, but it wasn't warm. Like, these plants don't like to be below 15 degrees Celsius. And it's like, there's no way we were that warm. And I always think of nighttime. I'm not so concerned about days. But the plants, they just do better when the temperatures are warm. And then when it's warm, you got to feed, because they're so hungry to feed. So a bunch of things have to fall into place. And for me, I think it was around the end of May, it kind of cooled off a little bit. And then it seemed like we were just getting into June, and then all of a sudden it got really hot. Yeah. And it was too hot then, and the plants weren't really doing well. And then it cooled off again in July. Yeah. It was just like this on-off switch. It just wasn't consistent.
Well, I tell you, Doug, my crop is poor this year. However, it's come on quite strong in the latter part of the season. But are you dealing with the same varieties that you've always planted and seeing this change? Or did you plant some varieties you've never planted before? Also, have you changed any of your methods?
It's called black tomato, or it's
Black Russian, maybe.
No, it's the one that you cut into it, and it's red, it's green,
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, what happened here in my neighborhood over the summer was there was a big road paving project, and I'm kind of thinking maybe that scared all the bees away because they didn't like the smell,
Well, that could be too. These are all factors that would affect the crop. So in other words, you just didn't get much of a crop. It wasn't that it was really late. I had good pollination, good crop, but all the tomatoes were very late this year. I mean, I was picking tomatoes and finally, and I've got a whole whack of tomatoes in my kitchen ripening up from late in the season, and it has been a different season. But then every season is different. So
yeah, I'll do it again next year. I'll try again.
Yeah.
And hopefully get a better result.
I found some of those. You were talking about a kind of a black tomato variety. I found some of those sometimes species tomatoes or non-hybrids can be late in the season. I've got
Ananas Noir. That's it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's a late tomato anyway, but the pollination was poor. You're saying, eh?
Yeah, I just didn't see any bees, and I actually planted a bunch of plants that are supposed to attract bees, but I just didn't see any bees.
Right. Well, I would also suggest that it doesn't take a lot of effort to do some hand pollinating with a Q-tip, going from blossom to blossom and just doing that. And let's face it, you just do one little dab and you got yourself a tomato. So doing some hand pollination with a Q-tip is often helpful. You want to make sure you're going to make sure you get a little bit of that pollen, the yellow pollen on the toothpick, and then just go around and dab it on the different flowers and do it from one tomato plant variety to another tomato plant. Just mess around that way and see if you can get some results, get some action going there. There also used to be a product on the thing called it was a product you sprayed on the tomatoes, blossom set, tomato set,
okay.
tomato set.
Yeah.
Now I'm not sure whether that product's still available, and I'm not sure what was in it. I just remember selling a lot of it back in the day, where people would spray on the tomatoes. So it isn't a problem that's brand new, Doug. It's something that's people have struggled with over the years. One year being better than another. Farmers will tell you, for sure. I was talking at a family reunion to a farmer where we were having this reunion in Alberta, and he could remember. He can name every year and how big the wheat crop was and what the year was like and when the frost came and if it was dry or whatever. They have it pinned, so every year is different.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks.
Okay, Doug.
I'll do it again next year.
Yeah, give her a heck.
Awesome.
Yeah. Okay, buddy.
Yeah,
thanks for the call.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye now. Yeah, driving through the Okanagan on various occasions and other areas as we go traveling, either over the pass, the Rogers Pass or whatever, you're always looking at the scenery and looking at trees and shrubs and waterfalls and streams and rock faces, and it's just beautiful scenery. The BC is just filled with beautiful scenery. But once I started reading this book, the Geology of the Okanagan, I started to look at that scenery with a different outlook and looking at the rock formations and whatnot, and realizing how wonderful that we have, where those tectonic plate movements caused our mountains to shoot up in the air, and all the ice ages, and showing huge boulders that are 10 feet tall and 8 feet wide, laying there, and those boulders were rolled down by the ice sheet that was 300 meters thick.
Yeah,
a lot of weight there, and so much going on, so much action going on, and we're just driving through looking at the results of it. It's really quite something.
It's fascinating.
It is fascinating. It's a great study. If I come back in another life, I'm going to be a geologist.
Yes. Yeah. It is fascinating.
Yeah, you bet.
Love it. Yeah, very cool. Well, lots of things this year that were different. Like every year, there's something different going on in the garden, especially the vegetable garden. There's just some things you have screaming success with and some things you don't. And that's just the way it rolls. That's gardening. But don't give up. Keep trying. Each year is a new year. And, you try following the basic sort of a recipe. And hopefully, if everything works out, you have success. This year, I would say my top success, I think most years I have really good success with my celery. And the tomatoes this year, well, again, it's this early, mid, late season tomatoes. And I didn't do a lot of tomatoes this year, so some of them were okay, some of them not so good. Definitely didn't have the best year for tomatoes. Cherry tomatoes, again, really late to get going. And then once they got going, they were good.
Yeah.
But they were late, later than normal. And carrots seem to be pretty good. I've got some carrots. I still have some in the garden, and they're kind of a little bit big. They're about 3 inches in diameter, if you can imagine, and about a foot long. So they're monster carrots. They're not as nice and sweet as the other ones, but I've been resisting harvesting them because I like to dig out a little bag full at a time, but I don't want the tops to freeze because then they go mushy. Yeah. So the carrots can handle a touch of frost.
Oh, they can. Yeah.
But you should protect the tops of them with a little bit of compost or mulch. And I've got some straw.
My mother-in-law used to leave them out all winter, put some straw and mulch over top, and go out in the middle of winter and dig them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're going to have to say goodbye pretty quick here.
You betcha.
Ken.
Yeah.
However, I just want to remind folks that this is the time of year, too, when you're out maybe gathering seeds from your plants and whatnot and get things going there. We're going to do now the tips and plants of the week. My tip is join a garden club. Pretty much each city has at least one general garden club and usually several other targeted clubs such as orchid clubs, cactus and succulent clubs, and bonsai clubs. Join a club, and that will get your gardening experience expanded. My plant of the week is the Euonymus alata, the burning bush, which is showing off right now. Brilliant red. There's a number of them around that are doing really well.
There you go. My tips and plants are that it's time to remove all your hoses from your hose bibs around your house. Those frost-free taps are not frost-free if your hoses are attached, and you can run into water getting trapped into the house, and it can freeze and cause all kinds of problems, at least here in the Okanagan, but I recommend it for everywhere. Drain those hoses, too, so that you can use them if you have to. All right, my plant of the week was the Cedrus atlantica. That's the Atlas cedar, or the blue Atlas cedar, which is one of the common names for that one. There's blue versions and green versions. They look a little bit like a larch tree, but they don't lose their needles in the wintertime, so they're just kind of a cool tree. Better for coastal regions than they are here in the Okanagan. All right, that's my tips and plans for this week. Remember to check growercoach.com and Grower Coach on YouTube.
You betcha, Ken. And Dr. Alex Shigo's quote of the week this week means something to me. Every organism must rest, and I mean that. We got to rest at our age. Take care, folks. We'll see you next week with more of The Garden Show.